A British Columbia man has died of a rare viral rabies infection in BC's first such case since 2003. Health officials say the man came into contact with a bat on Vancouver Island. CTV's Angie Seth has more. Angie, this is really tragic and bizarre. Let's say it. What's the story here?
Yeah, no, exactly. In a very, very rare case, as you mentioned there, Marcia. Good morning to you. But provincial health officials saying the man, just 21 years old, as you mentioned, came into contact with a bat on Vancouver Island in mid-May. He developed symptoms compatible with rabies 6 weeks later. Now, it's not known if the man was scratched or bit by the bat, though bats in all areas of BC are known to carry rabies. The virus can be carried, however, by many other mammals, and symptoms can take weeks, if not months, to appear.
The incubation period can be very long. It can be weeks and months. In this case, it was over 6 weeks. And you start having symptoms that are things like weakness and tingling and maybe a headache and fever that could be caused by a variety of things. And often people don't put the connection back to a bat bite until it's too late.
So let's go through some of those symptoms again. They do include fevers, you heard, headaches and nausea, to anxiety, confusion, hallucinations, and eventually paralysis. Doctors say the bat's teeth are very small, so bites or scratches may go unnoticed. It can also be spread by saliva or the shedding of skin breaking through our mucous membranes. And if you do make contact with a potentially rabid animal, experts, of course, recommend getting checked out, even if you're unsure, as rabies is almost as always fatal once the virus becomes active. And just to give you an idea of how rare this is, there have been only 24 known cases of viral rabies in Canada since we started recording them back in the 1920s. The most recent was in Ontario in 2012. Just one person in the States is known to have survived, and he was treated quite early, but still suffered some nerve damage, Marcia.
So is there anything that people can do to prevent themselves from getting the rabies virus?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's also sort of part of that knowledge, making sure that you're properly educated. And you know, so there's a lot that you can do, getting that knowledge about what you need to know. So knowing in terms of what types of animals or mammals are potential carriers, and then, of course, getting to a doctor as soon as possible if you come into contact with any of those types of animals. So people are generally more familiar with terrestrial rabies, the kind carried by animals like raccoons, foxes, coyotes, even dogs. Experts say if you receive the vaccine, your chances of survival are nearly guaranteed. They also recommend vaccinating pets who would be more likely to come in contact with this type of wildlife. BC health officials, meantime, are monitoring and caring for family members, close community contacts, as well as healthcare workers who cared for the man who died, Marcia, and they're being now given post-exposure rabies preventative measures if needed. So there's, you know, part of that, it comes down to all of that education, but we are seeing more wildlife apparent in neighborhoods, et cetera, or if you're going hiking. I mean, it is that time of year, so you just got to be very, very aware.
Okay, Angie, thank you for that.
You're welcome.